Steph is a huge mental health advocate, and her passion is to create spaces for people to be open and honest about how they feel. I've only known Steph about 3.5 weeks now, but when we first met we had a coffee and we stayed there for 3.5 hours, so obviously we had quite a lot of stuff to talk about. She is incredibly passionate, genuine and authentic, and I'm super excited to share her story with you. Hello everyone, and this is my first interview about mental health. I don't know how well you're going to hear me because I think my mic isn't working. But I'm with Steph and we're going to go through with it anyway. So Steph, welcome, how are you? I'm
pretty good, how are you doing? My mic works, so we're good.
I want to start off by asking you the question you hate the most.
Okay.
And what do you do?
I've
given you a brief example.
Okay, cool. So broadly, my theme is that I create spaces for people to come together and talk about what's important to them. Which means I do lots of different things, from running events and workshops to consulting on employability and education programs for young people.
Yeah. And what's your role with mental health? Because I know that's something that you're really passionate about, and I know that's something you're starting to speak more about lately.
Yeah.
Why?
So it's really important to me because my uncle committed suicide 7 years ago. He'd suffered from bipolar for most of his life, and 3 years after that happened, 3 or 4 years after that happened, my best friend tried to kill himself, and I was one of only 2 people that he told about that. So it's been something that sort of impacted me quite a lot, I guess, over the last few years. And I think there's a particular problem with men opening up and sharing their feelings, and male suicide in particular. So it's something that I'm really interested in raising awareness of and trying to address, I guess, in society.
I know you said that your friend told you that you were struggling.
Yeah.
How did that happen to you? Because I imagine there's so many people who want to be supportive and they get a lot of stuff that they hear and they have to take themselves. How did you cope with it?
Not very well, I think. Because of what had happened with my uncle, it obviously triggered a lot of emotions in me. So my primary concern was him and making sure that he was okay, and my secondary concern was myself, I think. So when he told me, after I had spoken to him, he actually called me to tell me, and as soon as I hung up the phone, I cried, because I was just shit, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, I didn't know. I had no idea that that's how he was feeling, and he called me the day after he tried to kill himself, and so I found, it was a Friday actually, so I found the whole weekend quite difficult, and I reached out to a couple of my friends, and one of them was just look, I'm here for you, let's go, I'll take you out, come over, come and see me, and he basically just let me talk at him and vent all of the things that I was feeling, and also reminded me that it wasn't my responsibility and it wasn't my fault, and I hadn't done anything wrong, which I think I was sort of blaming myself, thinking, well, I should have known, I should have picked up on the signs, and but how could I? If someone doesn't want to share that information with you and they can do a really good job of hiding it, then it's not your fault, and you have to, I guess, take a step back and realise that you can't be responsible for another human and someone else's life as well.
And I think the important thing there is to look after yourself first, right?
Yeah.
It's what they say when you're on airplanes. It's you always put your face mask on before you put someone else's on.
Yeah.
And it's the reason why I asked that is you know that I've struggled with that quite recently.
Yeah.
And because when you talk about mental health and you go through this thing, more people open up to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing because you get this trust.
Yeah.
But when it happens too often, it can take you into quite a dark place.
Yeah.
So I imagine there's some people watching go, oh, how do you identify when you're going into that? So how would you pick that up?
So I think it's a bit of trial and error in a way. And we talked about this earlier, but I don't think you know that you don't know how to identify the signs until you get to a place that's really bad, and it's only it's almost only from falling off the cliff that you can then recognise when you're getting close to the edge, I guess. So I guess like now, because I've done a lot of like work and I go to therapy and like I've invested a lot of time in like self-care and meditation and like yoga and things like that help me process my feelings a bit better. Now I recognise the signs. I've done a lot of reading as well, so I recognise the signs a hell of a lot better. So for me it's like low energy and like lack of motivation, and just feeling like just either feeling numb or just feeling quite sad and unsettled for like quite a few consecutive days. That I know is like not necessarily a good place to be in.
Why don't you think people talk? That's obviously a very big question. What do you think is stopping you from doing that?
I think there's still so much stigma around like mental health, and I think people are embarrassed to admit that they're struggling. And particularly men, like I think this is one of why we have such a big problem with male suicide and depression in men. But I think it affects everyone. It's this feeling like I'm weak, I'm not good enough, feeling like I have to be someone I'm not, and that I'm a burden on someone else. So that comes up a lot of the time. I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to feel like I was dumping all my problems on you. And
do you know what I get told all the time? Be strong.
Yeah.
That saying infuriates me more than anything. Because what does be strong mean?
Yeah.
Because to me, be strong means you just bottle that in, right?
Yeah.
But I heard someone talk the other day and he said, well, you bottle it in, it's almost like the container with a plastic bottle, you took it away, but that plastic bottle's never going to biodegradate, right? It's always going to stay there.
And
what's your definition of strength then?
I think it takes more courage to admit that something's not right and to share and be vulnerable and actually talk about how you're feeling than it does to just sit there and say nothing. And like that is the hardest step. As soon as you've like taken the first step and acknowledged within yourself that something's going on, you're not feeling great, and then told somebody else, I think like then it gets so much easier, and that takes way more courage and way more strength than not saying anything.
And I want to kind of finish off with masculinity is something that we all have, right? And it's, I'm thinking especially of 14, 13-year-olds. And I think like to be a man, that you have to be big, you have to be hard, and you can't show emotion. That's an absolute no-go.
Yeah.
What is your definition of masculinity?
That's a really good question. I don't think I necessarily have a definition of masculinity and like femininity, because I think that's what's almost got us into this situation where we're trying to stereotype men and women to behave a certain way. So I don't have one, but I think what we should do is enable people to just be who they want to be and be themselves, whatever that means, and however that means they want to show their emotion and talk about how they're feeling and like look physically. Like I don't think it matters what gender we are.
And yeah, I completely agree with you. And I just want to give an example of even this. I don't know how well you can hear it, so you could actually hear me. Like this Saturday, I was just speaking to my friends, and I just started crying. And I was on a lads' night out, you know, I was with the boys out of town. And someone said one thing to me, and that hit me really hard. And I literally spent 5 minutes, my best friend's office crying my eyes out. And I was just saying, like, I'm struggling, and I was completely open with it. Because I know if I didn't do that, that would have locked inside of me, and that would have been so much worse later down the line. And when you do that, you take that out on the people that you love, rather than actually accepting it and admitting that you're vulnerable and you're hurt. So for me, my definition of masculinity is someone who can truly express their emotions, and not be afraid what someone thinks of them, and someone who is very comfortable in their own skin, regardless of what people think of them. And that is the message that I really want to tell people, because I just wish I got told that when I was 14 years old. But I probably would have told you to go away or something like that.
Well, I think we'd all be a lot better off if we did get taught this stuff and talked about this stuff when we were 14 or younger. Like I think that's one of the things that we need to address as a society. We need better education around emotional intelligence and how to express our feelings and what they mean, and how to recognise how other people might be feeling as well.
Okay, and we're going to finish soon, but what's your goal with this? What do you want to help? What do you want to achieve?
I think just raising awareness of mental health in general, but particularly suicide, because I don't think that anybody should have to make a choice to end their life, and I think we need to be doing more at the preventative end of the spectrum, rather than, like, there's some great crisis support out there, but why are we waiting until people get to that point? Like, so I think my goal is to try and this is like a really lofty goal, but like somehow to try and exactly, right? But at that like real high level, systematic level, trying to address how government, how society, how education can work better in order to prevent people ever having mental health crises. So that's like the ultimate goal. Yeah, but prevention, like early intervention, prevention. So we get to the point where like mental health is...
So you get to the point before you get down that tip, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The last thing, what would you say to someone who is going through it?
I think I would say to them, like, it's okay. It's totally, like, everyone is going through difficult periods at different points in their life, and there's nothing wrong with you. So I think that's really important. Like, yeah, but I think people, like, you think something's wrong with you, and I think you've got to look at it. There is nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You don't need fixing. And this is something someone said to me when I was going through a tough time earlier this year, and like it really helped shift my perspective. It's like you don't need fixing. It's a difficult time, but if you talk about it, if you open up, if you're able to share with the people in your life, someone you trust, and then start to work towards ways to improve how you're feeling and actually deal with what it is that you're going through, then you can start to manage your emotions a bit better and understand yourself a bit better. So there's loads of stuff out there that you can do, from therapy to journaling to meditation, like whatever it is. It might be medication, but it might not be. But you need to start talking to people to explore what those options are. Yeah.
Superstar, thank you.